It's the Uae Derby. We've already discussed the fact that soft falling rain isn't in here because Mike the cock didn't think it would stay. Pat, you have some thoughts on this race, don't you?
Some very strong opinions, I really do. And I think it's a tipping challenge because you're looking to find a balance between two separate statistics. The first being secret numbers 4 to 6 wide trip, which Terry Spargo, I'm sure you as well, Gary, probably made it very clear. This horse went around in the middle of the track. And on the track of statistics covered roughly 20-some meters more than Zahi, Motif, Snowboarder, Elaval, who were 2, 3, 4, 5, the rail, the whole way. So he essentially covered the equivalent of 10 lengths more, and his margin was 2. So we're suggesting that on the data, from just that race alone, he's 12 lengths better than these horses. My problem is that it was a ridiculously slow race. Out of the 48 1900-meter races in the history of Maidan, this was the 45th slowest. It was more than a second and a half slower than the 3 previous Albastaquitas. And you would think if horses go slow early, they'll have the ability to quicken late. If they go fast early, they'll slow late. This race was the slowest to the 800 meters. I think there might have been 2 that were slower in the history of Maidan. You think they would come home faster? They ran the 44th slowest final 300 meters. So frankly, the way I looked at it is the only way Secret Number was winning that race from that trip is if they crawled, and they did. So looking at the form of the race, I have to go elsewhere.
Okay, I mean, I'm just looking now, because I know you like the filly, Sharuk. In the fillies race, was 3 seconds faster than Secret Number's race. Secret Number, though, for me, if you go back to the Kempton, I think it was the...
Yeah. Impressive.
He missed the break massively.
As he did here.
As he did here, but I mean, he ran green here.
Yeah.
I mean, he was still a big baby. And at Kempton, he missed, and then I think it was you telling me last night that the sectionals was 3 seconds faster than the other.
They ran 2 divisions of the same maiden stake, I think it was, and it was 2 to 3 seconds faster, and they were back-to-back races.
Yeah, and I mean, it was an impressive maiden. I think he's a massive horse. He's a big horse, and you know, I can't be put off him purely on the fact that it was a slow race, because he did what he had to do. And you know, you take those 10 extra lengths that he ran round, you can knock a second and a half off that time. So it puts it back into reality. But I see where you're coming from, Mark.
It's a pretty decent race. Richard Hannon's horse is coming in here with a multi-winning streak. I mean, it's a very good horse, isn't it? Definitely. I mean, it's got to be.
Well, I had breakfast in the hotel this morning rather than going to breakfast with the stars because struggling downstairs was difficult enough. And Junior was in there, and they like this horse. They think he's got a chance.
You've seen him work. He moves really well on the surface as well.
And he's a Group 1 winner. You know, he's a proper horse. But they like it. They think it's got a big chance.
He beat a filly in Italy in that group race, Sorella Bella, and she was one of the only. That's a Godolphin filly, I'm fairly certain. And she was the only filly that had collateral form with music chard and Sharuk. Everything kind of went through Sorella Bella. Sorella Bella was the only filly that had come out of those 2-year-old races where you could find form franking. She was the only one to do it. Music chart had beaten her, and I think Sharuk had finished behind her. So both of them having been winners at the carnival, it makes law enforcement look a little better. But those fillies races weren't all that fast either. So I think you break this race down into 3 categories. The locally based 3-year-olds, the 2 Americans, and then the other internationals. And of the 2 Americans, he's had enough drawn wide, not a fan. Dice Flavor does offer some interest. He ran without bleeder medication when he won the El Camino Real Derby on Tapeta. They went very fast early. He was brought into the race. There's no question about that. However, he bulled his way through. He did things that, you know, horses don't always like to go through those tight gaps, and he did, and that was impressive, and he drew off. So there is a chance there, although he had some issues when he first traveled. Lines of Battle, to me, is a massive play. Really have warmed on this horse. In the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf at Santa Anita, he was drawn in the car park, 14 of 14, in a very quickly run race. and today he'll be drawn in 4th. So just off that basis, that is interesting. He shows prominence. On the data, he covered 76 feet, which translates to roughly 8 3/4 lengths, more than his stablemate George Vancouver. Now, George Vancouver was drawn 3, sat the rail, popped off when they hit the elbow, and went through. Lines of Battle was beaten 6 lengths. So essentially, on speed, on the trip, Lines of Battle actually ran a winning race.
And if I remember correctly, Richard Hughes didn't batter him in that race. He was quite soft on him because he was beaten. So he was beaten 6 lengths without really being given a tough race.
Yeah, and some would argue that he actually kind of pushed along on the backstretch a little too much to just niggle him up towards the lead.
Yeah.
And by doing so, he assured himself a 6-wide trip around that far turn. I think Lines of Battle is perfect. Warfront, the sire, very durable, was a horse with Alan Jerkins, legendary trainer in America. This horse shows prominence. All-weather win at Dundalk. It was a fairly decent one. Again, he did things that you don't often see from some young horses, which is the willingness to go through a tight position. He did that. Aidan O'Brien record the last 2 years. He almost won this 2 years ago. He wins it last year. All systems go. Lines of Battle.
Gary?
Yeah, I like Lines of Battle. I was actually there at the Curragh when he made his race course debut, and that form just worked out fantastically well. But I have to be with Secret Number. The look of this horse when he walked in the parade ring. I asked somebody who saw him when he won at Kempton. He said they really liked him.
Well, we discussed him before the race, didn't we?
Did, yeah.
And I was really strong on him and actually came off him because Sheikh Mohammed was in the ring and only spoke to Mikel Barcelona and basically didn't speak to the other 2 jockeys. So I thought,
he knew.
Oh, he must like Mikel Barcelona's horse. So I came off him and then kicked myself all the way home for coming off Secret Number. But he is a monster. He's a big horse. Mark?
I'm going to go for a Godolphin horse, but I'm going to go for an alternative with Sharuk, the filly. Paul Hannigan won on her last time. She went to a further distance, which I thought was just suited her down the ground. I like this distance again for her. They've kept Paul Hannigan on, lucky red hat. And so that's my pick, Sharuk. I've stuck with all Carnival.
Okay.
I give you masterful statistical analysis. And he picked Secret Number because Sheikh Mo talked to the other jockey. We will make or break the day if Lines of Battle gets home.
Okay, so you're going Lines of Battle, you're going Sharuk, Gary, Secret Number. I can't come off Secret Number again.
I wouldn't back it at the price now.
No, I mean, that's the other thing. If you're going to look at punting, they've punted this horse.
Yeah.
This horse has been well punted. It was 9-2 earlier in the week, and I think it's down to 2-1 in places now. Let's put it this way: if Secret Number wins and Shay wins, then I've got a new holiday coming up. Yeah. So
look, I do not doubt that he can win the race, and that he needed that run and will come on for it. There are plenty of angles to him. I just think there's also equally plenty of angles against. I'm just siding against.
Okay, so there's our tips for that race. We hope we've confused you, and I'm sure we have. Click on the link below and we'll talk about race 5.